All right, so this is the Improve and Have Fun podcast. I'm here with Danny Pena, Hall of Famer podcaster, host of Gamertagradio, and as being another Dominican who actually is making things happen in this podcasting space, it's fantastic to meet you.
Yo, first of all, thank you for an invitation. And this is super random, like super last minute, right? But we made it happen right here at the NAB Show NYC. For those who don't know, it's like a radio, TV broadcasting industry. They have a little bit of stuff of podcasting, not much. So I'm just here, just networking, no work at all. So yeah, so it's good. I'm glad I'm here, man, recording this, man. Yeah. Yeah.
Don't mind me if I'm looking away at my questions while you're talking. I haven't even had you the mic. Talk,
Do your thing.
So then, I have all kinds of questions. We were talking before, and I said it's great to speak to you. It's like one of those things where you've been listening to somebody for like 2-3 years, and then like they're in front of you, and they're like, I feel I know you, but we never met. You know what I'm saying? Because I just been listening to you. I was introduced to you by Dave Jackson because I listen. Yeah, he's awesome. He's I listen to School of Podcasting so I can podcast better, and he talked about you, and I think he took like an excerpt. This is like at least 2 to 3 years ago. He took like an excerpt from the podcast and he played it, and then he started to talk about you. He said, "Let me check this guy out." And then ever since then, I just been listening to you guys. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
You know, it's crazy, and Pete and Paris, we always talk about this behind the scenes. You never know who's listening. You never know. There's people that listen to us, they never sent us email, never sent them a voicemail, but they quietly, from around the world, they listen to the show. So it's crazy that you found out about my show through Dave. So that's pretty cool. Really, really cool. Was it that we were promoting the Messengers podcast, the documentary, I think it was?
I think it was before that. I think it was something that you did an interview with somebody else. Like I said, this was a few years ago, so I don't remember it clearly. And he liked something that you said, and he's just like, I have to play this on my podcast. Because, Dave does that a lot,
Yeah.
But Dave bigs you up a lot. Dave always is bigging you up.
Yeah, shout out to Dave, man. Yeah, I think it was from his... I think he put clips from different podcasters, and it was like tips or like advice for content creators. Yeah, I think I know what it is. I just can't remember exactly what it is, but yeah, really cool.
One of the things you were talking about before because we were talking before we started recording, but we were talking about your podcast, Gamertagradio, going up. Oh, it's about to be up to 1,000 episodes. And how many years old is the podcast now?
We're turning 15 years. February 25th, 2020. That is going to be our 15th anniversary. Now, technically, I have way over than 1,000 episodes, but there's a lot of episodes that doesn't have like no numbers, because usually when I go to E3, I post like 40, 50, even 60 episodes with no numbers. So I think we might be like in the 1500s maybe, but with episode numbers, it's going to be 1,000 episodes. I think right now we just released an episode Monday, so I think we're only like 20 episodes left.
You made a Twitter post. I think you said like 20 or 29 episodes or something like that?
Yeah, so when I made that post, it was still 29. And then I realized, oh my God, it's actually 28. So yeah, 20 episodes left. So the other day I was thinking about it during my train ride back home. I think we're about to hit 1,000 around January or so, because we usually take breaks during the holidays. Christmas and New Year's, like, yeah, I'm completely off. Like, I want to spend time with my family, spend time with myself, so, yeah.
Cool. So, the funny thing I wanted to ask you, and this is actually what we just started talking about right before we started recording, how is it that a podcast about video gaming can be so emotional? Because let me tell you, there's 2 times that I was almost brought to tears with your content. It was like the episode where Pete was leaving. I could feel the emotion. Like, I'm telling you, I'm in the street almost like about to like start to cry, like the tears. And then when you in the documentary that you made, like regarding your history, which was a great documentary, by the way. And it was submitted to festivals, and like I said, when you guys are talking about your lives and us, the listeners, it's like you're painting a picture, and we're just like following along, And I like all 3 of you guys, you know what I'm saying? I said, Paris, sometimes he says some things, and I'm like, Paris, you're talking crazy right now. But I would love to be Paris. I really would. Like this hulking dude, like, hey, what's up? You know what I mean? Like, but, yeah, how is it that a podcast about gaming, and I think the part in the documentary where I started to get emotional was I forget her name, but she's another recurring. Not Mandy, because I know Mandy's another recurring cast of the characters like Nano. She's I don't, please forgive me, but she's like a little bit more heavier set.
She's Dominicana. She go Platinum Power at the end. That's Diana.
When she started talking, she said something in the documentary. She started to get emotional. Dude, I started to get like, oh fuck, you know what I mean?
Yeah. You know what it is? I think it's the journey, man. Like, I always like to share my journey to everybody. I don't care if you heard about me or not. Like right now, I've been speaking at a lot of places. Schools, conferences, because I want to inspire people, man. You know.
You are.
Man. And
by you being around, you doing your thing, you are. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, that's all good. That's all good. No, the reason is I want to show people that this is something I truly love, man. And the thing with us guys, we're friends. We're like brothers, man. You know, and when Pete announced that he was leaving, it was hard for me, man, because we've been doing the podcast together for so. Yeah, he was crying. His wife was there, like next to him when he made the announcement. That's when we were like streaming on Twitch. And this is another story that I've never mentioned. So this E3, it was our last night together. We went out to eat. It took us out, a couple of friends, and everybody knew what was going on and stuff. We knew about this for a while that P was gonna leave, and we were like, let's enjoy our last E3 together, you know. So we finished eating. Paris had to head home. So it's like a 2-hour drive for him. So we're like, I got to go. So, I hugged Paris. And I was like, I was crying, man. I was like, this is our last time us together at E3. You know, we're going to hang out. But I'm talking about like as a crew at Gamertagradio. Dude, I completely cried. Yeah. And I'm emotional. I'm a guy that very emotional, you know. Yeah, so it
makes for great podcasting. It really does.
Yeah, and that's the thing.
And I know you're not going for that, but
no.
I just the fans, we become closer with you when you're truthful and when you're emotional. You're being honest.
Yeah, it's funny because I showed my movie at different festivals. Actually, it was in the Dominican Film Festival too.
In the Dominican Republic or here?
Here in New York. Here, that was crazy. So. I showed it on the big screen, so I showed it to our there was people there from my family, listeners that showed up, and just people that were in the festival, they just showed up. They were curious. And a lot of people cried, laughed, left very inspired. You know, I think if you could do that, you did a pretty good job because at the end of the day, it's all about just the content and just be yourself. You know, I'm not trying to be fake, like, let me cry, it would be great for hits. And no, it's more of it just happened at the moment. It was me, and I think it was perfect to share that experience with everybody else, you know. So, yeah.
That's dope, dude. That's dope. Okay, this is a one, and you've always I'm going to try to ask you some questions of things that you've never talked about on the podcast. Okay, so these are maybe more personal questions. Like I said, anything I ask you, you're not crazy about, you don't have to answer. Okay. So, first of all, you were talking to Mega Ran recently, and it was cool that somebody, Mega Ran. Yeah. So you were talking to him, and you mentioned this in passing, but it was very inspirational. Like, you make a living from podcasting. Like, this is how you live. You know what I mean? How? And I'm not talking about, I don't need money figures or nothing, but how is it that you make a living from podcasting?
Well, right now, it was in 2015. We signed a deal with CBS Radio. We were with them for like 3 years, and there was some changes that we didn't like, so we moved to another podcast network. So the way how we get money is there's different ways. This one is an advertisement. They sponsor.
Which you have on the podcast.
Yeah. So we get an advertisement on. Yeah, all that stuff. So it's 60 seconds. We get paid. It's going to be different depending on the company and the deal that we have with them. But we don't get those ads. The company that we have our podcast, they're the ones handling the ads, the sales team. So we're just providing the content. So the more listeners that we get, the more opportunities we'll get. With advertisers. So this one. Another way is like, when you watch a video on YouTube, there's like an automatic ad that pops up. When you listen to our show, right in the beginning and the outro, you hear like a pre-recorded ad. Yes. We also get paid like that too. The listeners, they send donations. Twitch, if you partner or affiliate, You can subscribe using your Prime account. We also get paid like that too. So there's different ways. Or when people go to our online store, they could buy a shirt, hoodie, sticker, whatever. We get also a percentage from that. So my first check that I ever received was in 2001 during the internet radio days. I had a show for Fantasy Star Online, PSO Radio for Sega Dreamcast, and there was this website called mp3.com that was for music artists. So if let's say you're an artist and you put up your show or your audio, people listen to it, you get paid. So I said to myself, man, it's free hosting. This is like really early days of the internet, 2001. So
18 years ago.
Yeah, so I put up my talk radio show, and IGN picked it up. A bunch of website picked it up. I don't know where. I had no connection with them at that time, and my first check was $500. So I was like, man, I could start a business with this.
Yeah.
Let me start, but it was super early. Then we released Gamertagradio in 2005, and my first ad that I received for the show was in 2006. The U.S. Navy sponsored us for 3 months for the podcast. So I was like, yo, this is super dope. So, that's how I make money like that. And, I do some side jobs here and there, like, speaking gigs and all that. Yeah, but that's how I get money, man.
That's dope.
Right now, I've been doing this now full-time for 2 years.
Dude, that's crazy. Yeah.
And now I'm going to keep it real. It's not super easy. It's tough still. Like, I'm still applying for jobs,
Of course.
because I feel like I want to try something new. Also, I've been doing this for so long, but I want to join maybe a podcast company in the industry.
Like a Lipson or something like that?
Not like a lip sync, but more like producing, that type of thing. Like maybe with Spotify, stuff like that. Like I want to try something different and new. It's like a new challenge for me. You know what I'm saying? So
Now, when you mean you want to try something different, I mean you want to continue podcasting, but you mean you want to try something different from like employment-wise?
yes, because I've been, I'm still covering games. I would love to get into production and.
And what do you mean by production?
Production, get a whole team and let's create like a podcast series or stuff like that, or comedy series, stuff like that. Just something new. I like new challenges, man. I'm 42 years old. I started doing this in my early 20s, man. So it's good to have changes in your life. It's not. I don't see it as like a bad thing. I think that's a good thing. So.
Variety is the spice of life, my friend. It re-energizes us. You know what I'm saying? So no, and you've done so much, you've accomplished so much that I don't think I see it happening for you. You know what I mean? I definitely think that if you want to do something, I think you're going to do it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I can see that happen. Definitely. You can't give up, man.
No, absolutely not. So, okay, and now as a child, and now who's the older one? You or Nano?
I'm the oldest one.
So
I'm the only child from my mom and from my parents. Okay. So my parents, after that, they got a divorce. So my dad got married. He had 2 kids, my brother Nano and my sister Nana. But that's not their real names. But then my mom also got married. She also got 2 kids. It's Ito, that's his nickname, and my other sister, I call her Ne, but her name is Glendale. Okay. Yeah. So I'm the only child from my parents.
Okay. And okay, so 2 questions. Like, you were born in DR and you came over here, or you were born here?
It's a long story. I was born in...
Like I said, these things I never heard you talk about on the podcast.
So I was born and raised in New York City. Okay. I lived all my life around the Nago Avenue, Post, Dykeman, around there.
Washington Heights, Inwood Heights, kind of.
Yeah, I see it more... I don't call it... I'll say Washington Heights because everybody knows about the Heights, but it's more like the Inwood area, right? Yeah. So I was born and raised there. I went to school, everything there, and I moved in 207 in Broadway, also years later. But my mom got married. She wanted to move to the Dominican Republic, so I was like a child. I had no choice. I had to go. So I studied over there for 3 or 4 years, middle school. And then in 92, I was like, Mom, I want to go to Miami. I want to live with my dad. So I lived also in Miami for a while. But I've been going back and forth, New York. It was New York, DR, Miami, DR, then back to Miami, then back to New York. Wow. So when I moved to New York, in '99 when I was here for my college years, and that's when I like experimenting like internet radio. So the the idea came about in 1998. There was a internet show called 88 Hip Hop. That if you have this player called Real Player, so you can watch videos and audio through there. So they will show videos. So a lot of rappers will go and do freestyles. I'm like, damn, that's cool. So I could watch this using my 56K modem on my computer. Man, what happened if I do my own show like this? So at that time, this is when I was living in Miami still. So I was writing for a Miami hip hop newspaper called The Cypher. And I mentioned this to my friends. I was like, yo, let's do a show. And we just play a cassette, let it play for the whole day. And we found out the pricing and everything was just too expensive. We're like, yo, we're not going to do that. So never came about. So then when I moved over here, I was like, yo, I'm going to do this. But instead of hip-hop, it's going to be video games. So that's how the whole concept came about. So I started this idea back in 98, man.
Interesting. In 98, interesting. That's now 21 years ago. Crazy. But what I wanted to ask you, Danny, well, I think it's more than 21 years, but no, I think 31? Yeah.
It's a long time.
Yeah, it is. But let me ask you this, actually, because, growing up in New York, and you and I are around the same age. Like, I'm 44, you're 42, so, very similar experiences. Because hip-hop, especially, I was really into underground hip-hop, Bobbito and Stretch Armstrong, So, in between being Miami and New York, like, when did the hip-hop come in? Because I think the hip-hop in Miami was, like, different, I'm sure, than it was, like, in New York. Like, what was it that appealed? I'm assuming that the New York hip-hop appealed more.
This was, like, in the 80s. I was, I was, like, maybe 6 years old, because I was always messing around with my dad's radio. Always. I was super curious about that little machine. I'm like, I'm messing around with it. So then I will record a lot of stuff. So I remember I'll grab my cassette, I'll put my radio close to the TV, record like a show. Then at night, the audio, I will record it. Even with background noise, my mom talking, whatever. Like, but I always wanted to do that. And then when I go to bed, I'll press play and I'm listening to the audio that I recorded, and I'll picture it like the scene and everything. So I was super into that stuff. So while I was doing that, I was also record like shows on the radio of hip hop shows, live DJ Red Alert, and all this stuff back in the early 80s. And also I would look throughout the window, and I'll see people breakdancing in Nego Avenue. Fat Boys was pretty big at that time too. It was like a bunch of other artists too. Around DMC, LL Cool J. So I really got into that stuff. So back in '92 when I moved to Miami, there was hip hop because there was a lot of people from New York that moved to Miami, but there was no internet, so there was no hip hop radio stations. We'll have like hip hop shows, maybe like on a Thursday night, 9 to 12, or on a Saturday from 12 a.m. to like 5 in the morning. So I'll buy tapes and I'll record those shows in Miami. Or my cousins from here, they will send me mixtapes that they'll buy 34th Street, or they'll go to like a store, Fat Beats, So they'll buy different DJ mixtapes and they'll send it to me in Miami, or my cousins. So the tapes I used to listen to a lot was like DJ Tony Touch, SNS, Double R. I remember hearing Clue for the first time. Clue. He leaked the Biggie's first, one of the biggest singles, Juicy, and there was Beef. Like, yo, dude, I still have collection of like all those tapes from back then, man. So that's how I really got into hip hop. And then in the late '90s, we became really big because we had like our own production company in Miami. So my cousins were. One of them was a DJ, producer. Another one was a rapper. I was like the street promoter. So we started connecting with a lot of people in the industry. So like I used to work for DJ Khaled back in the days when he was like, nobody knew who he was.
He's so huge today. He's a personality. He's like a personality.
Yeah, so I worked with him. I done stuff with like Wyclef, with Karis One, with
This is Miami. This is not here.
Miami. all Miami. Def Jam, Loud Records, like I can name. It's a lot of companies. So all the clubs in Miami, I used to promote. So I'll get like records, and I'll give it to take it to the DJs. Like, hey, look, this is the new whatever, or I promote their parties. I'll get paid from that. So that's how I learned how to promote throughout the years, and then use that for my platform, what I have now with my podcast.
No, I know the stories because you've talked about how you used the promoting tactics that you learned through the hip hop game to go ahead and put together your own, gaming events. And you tell, I've heard the stories. The turnout was like crazy, and the lines were around the block and stuff like that. I wanted to ask you, just like you're like I said, you're talking, you're painting a picture in my head, right? Yeah. Two things, like, have you checked out the Wu-Tang series that's on Hulu? Because I think you would love it. You know what I mean? Because all this is reminding me of that.
I'm gonna be straight up with you. I have it saved up. Like I have but you're not the only one. There's a bunch of people who've been telling me, Danny, go watch it. I'm trying to watch it. The thing is, something always comes up, so I haven't had the time to watch it. But yeah, I'm definitely gonna watch it.
You would love it. Like this whole conversation, I know you'd be like, oh shit, you know what I mean? 100%, And the other thing, it seems like from childhood, and this is a thing that this is going to lead into the next question. And Danny, you wrap me up when we have, please, that you had like a fascination with audio, like from young. Just a random fascination with it. And the crazy thing is, I've heard this before, and I really see it in my own life, how the things that we loved in our childhood, the things that just interested us in our childhood, we do as adults. Yeah. And you are doing that.
Yeah, and it was because of my dad. I talk about this like when I do speaking gigs. One of the first pictures that I show is me touching my dad's radio, and I'm like smiling. I'm like, hey, I found that picture because my grandmother passed away a couple years ago.
Sorry.
And when I went to the Dominican Republic, I found like photo albums, pictures that I've never seen of me when I was a kid. And I found a lot of my dad when he used to be a DJ. Yeah, he used to be a DJ in Dominican Republic and also New York. So yeah. So he
like merengue DJ.
Merengue, salsa, Spanish, Spanish stuff. So, so when he's not touching his equipment, I'll be there like, oh, let me touch the tape recorder. And so yeah, that's how I really got into audio because of that. So yeah, it's crazy.
Okay, and that's the lead into my next question. What? And I literally wrote this down. Yeah. What is it that drew you into gaming, and at what age did gaming start to fascinate you? That this fascination has lasted to this current 42 years later.
Oof. To tell you the truth, it was my grandmother, man, buying me and my here in New York. It was for Christmas. I'll never forget this. The Atari 2600. At that time, Atari was like either going out of business, or I can't remember exactly what it was. It was like early, maybe it was like 83, 84. It was like $50. So she bought 3. She gave me 1. And I think it was like Pac-Man, Defenders. I can't remember exactly all the games. But ever since that day, I became a huge fan of games. Because I remember mind blown, like I could play games on my TV instead of going to the arcade, La Bodega, to have like these random games, or the bar, So this is a crazy story. So that changed my life. Then a couple years ago, I go to E3, and I bump into Nolan Bushnell. Nolan, the creator of Atari, the founder of Atari. Actually, he was Steve Jobs' boss, because Steve Jobs used to work for Atari. And for those who don't know, he's also used to be in charge, the founder of Chuck E. Cheese, and he sold it like years ago. Yeah, so now he's doing like VR stuff. But I interviewed him, and I told him, I thank him, like, your product completely changed my life. And he was like, well, I'm just trying to sell Atari, I'm trying to sell my product, trying to get money, but I'll thank your grandmother for buying my product. I'm like, oh, all right. Yeah. So yeah, that's how I got into gaming. So then I got Nintendo, Super Nintendo. Here's a crazy story, which I don't know if I mentioned this, or maybe I mentioned it at other podcasts, can't remember, but I was living in the Dominican Republic, and I told my mom, I want to start my own business with gaming. She's like, okay, what is it you want to do? I was like, I want to charge people per controller for 30 minutes or an hour, maybe 15 minutes also, but they have to pay me if they want to play my games. What if you get me an office, we rent it, and I have a bunch of Super Nintendos, a couple Sega Genesis, TVs. I have controllers. My friends could bring it too, you know. So
We're just interviewing the OSS guy. It's like that's the exact thing. You're just interviewing the OSS guy, and you know that the OSS guy he mentioned Helix. That's like literally around my way. It's like not far away from me. It's super close to me.
I didn't know that. But this was in, oh my God, 92 in Dominican Republic. I was the first person to do that in the yard. There was none of that over there.
You did it?
Yeah, nobody was doing that. Nobody. So it became a huge success. Then a lot of people.
Where did you do it from? Like your house or something?
No, there's a town called San Francisco de Macorís. It's like north of Dominican Republic. So I did that, and then remember this pre-internet days. Then I see people coming from the capital, from like other cities that will go to my city where I was at, just to see what I was doing. Wow. They copy that and they took it to their towns.
That's cute.
Yeah, so nobody was doing that. Now you go to DR, that's everywhere. But I was the first one that actually started that in Dominican Republic.
Oh, that's dope.
Yeah. So this is pre-internet days, Super Nintendo era.
How did he get the word out? Like that people will come to play. It's just people in the town and people paid, and it was.
It was just a community, man. Like I'll tell people, and word of mouth would just go around, man. So yeah, the whole town would come, man. Like I made so much money that I bought like a motorcycle at DR. Yeah, like I was doing good, but I was paying rent. The power will go out a lot over there in the Republic. Yeah, so I had to get like a generator.
I mean, you bought a generator with the money. That's huge.
So we had it for the office, and people would show up. I remember those days. It was the games that were popular was Street Fighter, Bases Loaded, Mortal Kombat 2. Some people play Mortal Kombat 1. I had Sonic, Donkey Kong Country, Star Fox. All those games, I had it over there.
And you were charging people to play.
And this was early 90s. Like Super Nintendo came out, and then every time there was like a new game, my mom will come over here, buy it, and we'll promote it on the wall. Like, yo, we have the latest game, this and that, poster. I had someone that painted the whole. We called it Nintendo Club, so people would show up. Yeah.
I mean, what happened to it?
No, then after a while, I just got tired. Like, yo, it's too much. I want to try. You know, I think I was coming back to. Actually, no, I was gonna leave Dominican Republic, so I went back to Miami. Yeah.
You seem like you have often. You talk about Miami being a promoter. You're talking about DR. Like you have like a little bit of an entrepreneur streak in you.
Always, and that's because of my mom and my dad. They're not drug dealers or anything, but I call it like they're hustlers. They're hustlers, man. Like they're always making moves, and it's always been in my blood, man, to be that way, man. Like just work, network, and the thing that I know is that people have been doing is they will create a business, and they'll stay in their business. They don't get out. They don't go out and meet people. Every time there's an event, I always go and network. Look, the event I'm right now. This has nothing to do gaming, but I'm here because I see the potential of networking and opportunities of people that probably don't know anything about podcasts. There's only like one podcast booth here, and it's my friend. His name is Rob Walsh from Lipson. They're like
I've heard Dave Jackson talk about.
Yeah, Dave works it. That's his coworker. So it's like all the way in the back. He's there, and he tells me, "Look, this is not really a big podcasting thing, but." There's going to be podcasters here today and tomorrow. Like tomorrow, there's going to be like more panels about podcasting, you know. Podcasting is still new, man. It's a new medium, you know. Yeah. So
Okay. Okay, that's awesome. Okay, let me ask you this. Oh, I mean, this is a 2-question. Is there ever a period where you didn't play video games for a period of time? And also, do you ever feel, I know you've gotten this question before, I've heard you answer before, and just us talking here, because I sometimes do. But do you ever feel, like, maybe not for you because this is kind of your profession, but do you ever feel playing video games is a waste of time? And also, yeah, like, that was the first question. Like, was there a period of time when you just were not playing games and you just didn't, like, you were like, I just kind of want to leave it alone for a bit?
No, I was always playing games. I think the difference was when I started promoting, I was always, in the 90s, I was always super busy and always out that I didn't have time to play. So I'll play, but my downtime, like, it was like decreased, like, big time, you know. Now, I don't see games as a waste of time, man, at all, man. Like, when there's time to work, because I have to review games, but there's times I just want to, like, chill, just enjoy myself, man. You know, I just love playing games, man. I have a lot of friends that work in different video game companies that I want to see their work. You know, it could be voice acting, graphics, level design, music. I want to just be part of that experience, man. You know, there's people that have been working on these games for like 3-4 years, man, and now it's out to the world. And I'm like, oh, let me try it out. Plus, getting a lot of these companies that invite me to their studios to play their games, and I get to see this like 2 years, a year early, months, you know, and I'll get like the games early, you know, stuff like that. So one example is EA invited me to check out Star Wars. This was Battlefront, the first Battlefront, and they flew me out to Stockholm, Sweden. It was only 20 of us, and they told us, "Yo, this is gonna from around the world."
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, so all YouTubers, I was the only podcaster. So they were like, "Danny, when you go, turn off your location from your phone. This is like a top secret trip. You can't talk about this." So
How fun is that?
it was crazy because I had to make believe that I was still in Miami, but I'm in Stockholm. You know, like, hey, you know, it's crazy. So then I wasn't even there to do interviews. I was there to play the game and give feedback to the developers. So one of the things that we're telling them was, you got to add story. You can't just release a game online, especially Star Wars, because yeah, it was me and all the content creators that was there.
No, you saw the debacle.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's a totally different story. But it was for the first game, and then the second game they added story. Actually, it was Janina Gavinkar. She's one of the.
She's gorgeous.
Yeah. So I interviewed her years ago. Super cool. Yeah, that's what I've been doing, man. So like, last year was the year that I traveled the most. I was traveling like 2-3 times a month. Either L.A., San Francisco, Montreal, Sweden. I was, dude, everywhere, man. It was very tiring. That was a point in my life that was just like a point last year that I was like, yo, I'm just tired of traveling, dude. Super tired, yeah. But yeah, it's good. It's cool.
I mean, video gaming has taken you around the world. Has taken you around the world. Is that right? It's suffice to say.
Like now, not only been to Sweden, but Canada. My co-host been to London, Paris. Yeah, you know it's crazy. Paris and Pete that went to. Oh, he went to Germany, Gamescom. Yeah, he went to yeah. So Paris and Pete, they were in Ubisoft Paris for I think it was for Ghost Recon Wildlands, and they got to stay there for a couple of days. They recorded content that we're releasing like once a month. They will release something from the studio.
And this is the studio paying for these trips. Like you guys are not paying.
We don't pay them.
Crazy.
They pay flight, food, everything. So we're like, yo, we're in, and plus they want us to check out the studio tour and then the city, So then P in Paris was about to fly back from Paris to the United States. So they get into the plane, and out of nowhere, a listener like, hey, I'm a huge fan of you guys, man. In Paris. And and both of them were like, oh my God, this is crazy. On the plane while they were going to fly back, and the guy tweeted about it, like, oh, I see the Gamertagradio crew here. It's crazy. That happens all the time.
Around the world.
All the time.
And let me ask you this. I was thinking, are you going to, back in the day, in the beginning of Gamertagradio, you used to have, like, these community events. Like, are you going to ever do that again? Or is that, like, super tough to do?
No, it's tough because I spend so much of my energy and time trying to do these events. And remember, it was only, like, 3 or 4 of us doing these events. And this is, like, 1,000+ people that show up, So it was hard. So I want to do something special for the 15th anniversary of our show. I don't know what yet, but oh, there you go. I don't know yet. Yeah, we've done it before. I don't know what I'm because we've been so busy, man. Super busy traveling and everything. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Huh? It's only 2 of us now. Yeah, like our last party, we had 1,000+ people, and it was 4 of us: Mandy, Patrick, P, and I. And we had friends from like Destructoid helping us out and everything. And the party was the #1 Super Bowl party of South Florida. That was crazy. Yeah, so Miami New Times, they did like a whole article about all the parties, and they put us #1. I was like, holy crap! I was not expecting that at all, man. So, yeah. So I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to do it again, but we'll see.
I mean, the listeners would love something like that.
Yeah, dude, we had listeners from Japan showed up, from Canada, from all over the United States, and they went to Miami just for the party, so hopefully we'll do that in the future. We'll see. But I have a couple of ideas I want to do for our 15th anniversary. So.
That's dope, dude. That's dope. Okay. And I was thinking about this. You've been covering games now for almost like 2 decades, like, and I could see, I was just thinking about like in the future, I can see you like, what do you want to do like in the future? I know you said that already, you want to go ahead and you want to put a team together and like produce something, but I could also see you almost like a video game historian. This is the first thing that came to mind when I was thinking like you could do something like that. Like, I mean, what do you want besides, like in 5 years from now, what do you want to do?
That's a great question. I like new challenges. Like I said about getting into like a podcast industry, that's one. Maybe the gaming industry.
Oh, you wanted that?
Yeah, I'll probably do that. I mean,
there's been opportunities.
Yeah, oh yeah. Since the early days of GTR, but at that time I was working at Discovery Channel, so I was like happy with my job. So I was like, I don't need to go to a video game company, But yeah, there's been opportunities for years, So yeah, I think I will do that. I would like to do that stuff and maybe do stuff with like content with podcasting or video for like different companies. We'll see. I mean, I don't know, but yeah, I think I will do that. I will do that. Cool.
Yeah. What do you see as a future of podcasting? Because like you said earlier, like really this is still in its infancy. And I see podcasting getting bigger than video. Just me personally. Like, I consume more audio than I do. I mean, I watch YouTube almost every day, but you can take audio with you. You can't you can take videos with you, but you have to stop. But audio, you can go do stuff. You know what I'm saying?
I think it's growing more. Like, Spotify's been investing so much money on podcasting. They've been doing a lot of like deals with content creators for like with celebrities. So I see that. I see. Now, recently, Pandora just added podcasts into their platform. Yeah, Pandora, Google is stepping in. I think the more we see that in the industry, the more competition, dude, the next company is like, oh, no, you know what, we're also going to invest. So they'll spend more money than other ones, So I think there's going to be opportunities, man. I think podcasting is going to grow even more, man. Like when I started, there was no iPhone, no Android. It was like the only way people could listen to it is using through their computer. At that time, there was third-party apps that the community made from like the podcast community, and that's how people will find and subscribe shows back then, man. But it was a game changer when Apple using iTunes and they added podcasts to their platform.
They're the big dog, right?
Yeah, they're the big dog still to this day, but now there's a lot of competition now, man. Now Spotify is getting up there. Stitcher, been doing it for a long time. Pandora, Google. There's so many other platforms. Like, if you're a YouTuber, you're just a YouTuber. You're a podcaster. You're all over the place, So think of that, man. Like, people. Yes, you're everywhere. You're everywhere, and doesn't matter what type of app. You have the option to use any type of app. That's podcast app, and we're there. With the music services now, the music streaming services now, they're adding podcasts because they want you to be part of their service, part of their app platform. So it's gonna grow even more, man. Like I can see this even bigger from 5-10 years from now. So more money, more advertising, more huge opportunities too.
That's encouraging. That's really encouraging. Because actually, one of the fan mail, I asked you a couple of fan mail questions. One of them was that, one of them was like, I asked you, do you double down on a particular platform or do you try to be everywhere? You said try to be everywhere because you don't know who's watching. Same like you told me several times. You don't know who's watching. You don't know who's listening. But like even now, just talking to you, I see like podcasting is where it's at.
Yeah, I think the biggest mistake where a lot of podcasters or just content creators, their biggest mistake is, I'm going to have my stuff on YouTube because it's the biggest thing. Yeah, it's cool, but there's other places that there's probably people that don't use YouTube. Maybe they don't have the data to go to YouTube. So, like, let's say you're a podcaster. Okay, you have your show on iTunes, which is good, but is it everywhere else? Is it on iHeartRadio? Is it on Spotify? Is it on Google Podcasts? Because remember, one listener each place, that's something, man. You add everything up. Don't just depend on just one platform. Be everywhere. And remember, there's also platforms that maybe they'll give you an opportunity if your content is so unique and different and it's nowhere else, and you promote them. You could tell them, hey, can you put my show on the front page? Can you feature it? I'm planning to release this show. This episode is going to have so-and-so is pretty big. Sure, and they'll put you, like, front page. Like, iTunes did that with us a couple of times.
So dope.
They put us multiple times on the front page for E3. And we were like, all right, you promote us and we'll promote you. So they put us for the whole week, front page, big banner, Gamertagradio. So when I'll go to a meeting at E3 and people are still, like, asking us, like, oh, what does you guys do? I'll be like, what phone you have? And they're like, oh, I have an iPhone. I'm like, all right, click the podcast app and tell me what you see. They click it, and the first thing they see is us. They're like, that's you guys? I'm like, yep. So you got to think big. You can't just say, I'm going to be on iTunes, that's it. There's so many other places you could be at too, man. Take advantage of that. You have the opportunity. I didn't have the opportunity back then. You know?
To be everywhere.
Because back then we only have iTunes, that's it.
And like somebody like me, I'm only 4 years in, and I see that. I think one of the reasons, like I said, we're almost finishing up, Danny. You know, I see one of the ways that podcasters, even YouTubers, blow up is when they are of service to a community. And I know you're huge on community. My thing is more like I'm just talking about my life. Like I'm making a photo album of my life, an audio photo album. You know. And I just don't see how I can get bigger because you just have to be a fan of me. You know what I mean? Like, what advice do you have to other people that are just kind of on the come up podcasting-wise?
Believe it or not, there's people that are just fans of just... you want to hold it? I'll hold it. Yeah. All right. There's people that are just fans of just listening or watching content or even reading content. So you might record a podcast with your friends about the Joker. Let's just say, oh, we watched the Joker. Let's talk about it. Somebody might be searching, like, I want to hear somebody talking about the Joker. They've never listened to your podcast, but they found that one episode. And maybe because of the conversation that you have with your friends or with yourself, that they feel connected. Like, you know what? I don't need the big media outlets to give me reviews. Like you were telling me earlier, you visit IGN, you visit to like other media outlets, right? But you just love and trust our conversation. Absolutely. You know, so it's that connection, man. At the end of the day, man, if you just be yourself, and there's gonna be people that are just gonna connect with you, man. They'll be like, man, you know what? I'm vibing with this, man. I love the conversation. I might not agree with all their stuff what they're saying, but something about it, it drives me every week. I'll go back to the show and listen to every week. So, and it's because the connection, man. Like, I want the listeners to feel like they're part of our journey. So when I got inducted to the Hall of Fame, you know, congratulations. Thanks, man. So one of the things I did was I mentioned on a podcast, hey, I'm getting inducted. First Latino, first gaming podcast and we were in the first group to get inducted to the Hall of Fame. So I want to invite the listeners, anybody from Dallas, Fort Worth, let's go. So we had maybe between 7 or 10 people that showed up. I took them to the red carpet. We took pictures. We sat on the front row. And when I got my award, the first people that I mentioned thanks was our community. Because before my family, before anybody else. And the reason is, if it wasn't for the community, listen to the show, I will not have none of these opportunities, man. Your listeners are the one that will make you or break you, man. And we build that relationship, man, that they always will support us no matter what, you know. So, yeah, just want to say that.
I love it. I love it, dude. I love it. Now, I know you were living in Miami for a period of time, and now you're in New York. Are you going to choose to stay here, or knowing you, I don't think you're going to stay here?
Yeah.
The way you moved around.
Yeah.
What's your zodiac sign?
Cancer.
Okay, cool. I wanted to ask. But
I was born 7/8/77, almost all sevens. Just want to say that. I don't know yet. Right now, I'm just writing it out. I'm just trying to. This is a lot of stuff that happened to me last year and my personal life. Yeah, which I don't plan to talk about, but it's been a very rough year, especially last year. The end of last year was rough.
When you're
The
ready
beginning.
to share that, I really, like myself included, and your fans, we care about you, of course, and we want to know what happened with you.
Nah, I don't want to say it's very personal. I'll say this, that it was a very not life changing, but like something just out of nowhere, just it completely changed everything. That right now I'm just trying to figure out to see where I'm gonna go, like what's my next chapter in my life, So I'm just trying to figure out right now. I was living in Miami. I have family over there. I'm here staying with my family, my mom, my sister, my brother. So I'm just right now. I'm just trying to figure out what to do next, man. So at the same time, making moves. Of course, like I'm always out there networking and all that stuff. So just today, actually, when I was walking around, I bumped into two people that used to work with me at Discovery. So it's like you never know who you will see, man. You know what I'm saying? So
But you got to get out there. You're saying you got to get out there, though.
yeah, like honestly, two things. When it comes to like business, you have to get out of your house and network. Look, if you're small,
So tough for people. Sometimes.
yeah, it's super easy. Yo, you live in a city where there's always something going on. I live in Miami. Yeah, there's stuff going on, but not more than New York. You could go to meetup.com. Like I did this already twice this month. I went to meetup.com and I put podcast meetups. I found two. I just showed up. They had no idea about me. They were just there, like bloggers, podcasters. And as soon they start asking me, like, hey, who are you? And I'll tell them, be like, what are you? And then everybody wants to ask me questions. But I did that because to show people that, yo, get out of your house and network, man, because you never know what could happen, So that's another one. Number two, for you, don't wait for the community to find you. You should find your community.
See, that's the tough part. Like, I want
But
to find people that like. I'm looking for a group of people that like what I'm selling. You know what I mean?
But you'll be surprised how many, you will find podcasters, content creators. You will find people that just listen to the show. There's events. There's always something going on. Like for me, I'm looking for the gamers. So I will go to Best Buy, GameStop, midnight launches, pass out flyers. Hey, listen to our show.
Gaming meetups as well.
Yeah. Oh, gaming meetups. Dude, there's events all the time. New York Comic Con was like 2 weeks ago. I was here, met a lot of people. Yeah, it was fun. I went to like a couple of events, parties, just, network. I want people to see my face. Like, hey, I'm here. I'm alive, And that's it. Like, I think that's the best advice, man. There's nothing that could beat face-to-face interaction, man. Like right now we're sitting down with talk. It's a different vibe when we have this conversation. You listen to the episode that I had with the CEO of OS NYC, and one of the things he said on Twitter, he said, wow, this felt like we're just having a conversation. It didn't even feel like an interview. And I was like, that's my goal. I want to have a conversation because when you have your guests like super comfortable, they will open up more and they will say things that they will not mention to the media. Media is like they're trying to get a clickbait article, blah, blah. Me, I'm like, let's have a conversation. And maybe from that conversation, something will pop up that it will go viral. And that happened many times throughout the years. Yeah. And I'll tell you that story because that was my idea. For those who know, so we were at E3. This happened.
2 years ago.
Yeah. There was like previous year, we went to E3, and I got to see Cyberpunk first. Then Pete got to see it second. Paris was only going to show up the last day, so he shows up. I was like, "Yo, Pete, I'm going to record Paris's reaction when it comes out to see what's going to happen." He had no idea I was going to do this, so he comes out. I'm recording, and he says something like, "It's on my phone, just my phone." So he says something like, oh, Cyberpunk 2077 is this and this and that. Like, he compared to, like, movies that he got to see throughout the years. He's like, yo, it's amazing. Like, his reaction was very genuine. Posted, it went viral. That video went all over the studio that we're on CD Projekt Red. Like everybody got to see that video. So a year later, now they're hitting us up. Hey, we're gonna be there again. Come watch the game. Same exact thing. I got to watch it first. P got to watch it another time. Paris. Yeah, but we always have relationship with them because of The Witcher and other games. But then Paris again was the last person showing up. Now everybody knew who. Yeah, so everybody already knew who Paris was. Like, so Paris goes inside. Meanwhile, I'm talking to the whole developer, the whole team, PR team, everybody. Hey, if you can, go outside and wait for Paris. When he comes out, I want you to clap and go crazy. And so Paris was taking so long that CD Projekt Red started doing that to every person that was coming out. Hey, start clapping. But when Paris comes out, that's when it became like super loud. The founder of CD Projekt Red was there. They introduced him to Paris. He was like dying to meet Paris. Again, it was my idea too, man. And Paris had no clue, zero idea. This wasn't like, I want this to go viral. It just happened, naturally happened, man. And yeah, it was super cool. Now they sent us The Witcher early. Now it's already out, but yeah, like we built that relationship, man. And remember, these are developers that work on this game for years. So seeing that type of reaction, it makes them feel like, damn, man, this is dope. Yeah, and they're stuck in a bubble, man. You know what I'm saying? Like doing these games, and then once they see that type of reaction or feedback from like the fans online, it's dope. It's something cool for them. Like, oh man, this is like, okay, I'm not wasting my time working on this project. So
it's the same like with podcasting. Like, you put out all this content, and then when somebody comes back to you and be like, oh, I heard this and this and that, and be like, damn, like I just feel like I'm just talking to the mic sometimes, and now you're coming back to me telling me, oh shit, like you heard my shit. Yeah, yeah.
No, but it's cool. I mean, that's the thing that I love to do, man. Just do those type of things, and I want the developers to open up a lot more, man. So we've been getting a lot of opportunities like that, man. A lot of opportunities. So
we were talking about traveling opportunities, and 2 more questions, and we're done, my friend. I thank you so much for your time, really. Because you told me 20, 30 minutes. It's already gone almost an hour, so I really appreciate that. Are you looking for another co-host for the podcast?
No. Okay. The reason why is
like if you have all this work and you be like, well, you don't need another body to lean on.
No, I think we're good. Let's say Paris leaves, I'll do it on my own. Or if I leave, Paris is doing it on his own. Like, I got to the point that I'm comfortable with what we have. I don't want to start again, and I think we're good what we have.
And also, and this is more of a gaming question, because I guess this is more of a selfish question. It's because of you guys that I actually got Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, because I think it's the best deal that you can get. Like, especially if you're cash strapped, I think it's the best deal you can get. The fact that you can download games to your system, you can play them, $15 a month, and it's exactly something that you said, and this is like a nugget that stayed with me, amongst many other things you said, is that more people are more likely to try more games with this style of service as opposed to buying the one big AAA title per month. Do you see, I know PlayStation has PlayStation now, but it's only streaming. Do you see PlayStation or Nintendo going the same route? Because this is the reason why actually I don't buy those systems right now, because of that. And I know they have incredible titles, but to spend $50, $60 per game after this, no more. Well, for me, personally.
Right now, they have PlayStation now. So what happened earlier this year, I think it was before E3, Microsoft and Sony, they just made a deal. Sony is going to be using Microsoft servers for PlayStation Now, for their streaming services that they plan to do.
The Azure, is it Azure, that one?
I don't know the name. Yeah, it's one of those names, yeah. But I think they're going to be using that for PlayStation 5. So, yeah, Sony is going to be doing that. They just lowered the price to $9.99 a month for PlayStation Now. Still streaming. And I think you could download it, too. I think they made that changes a couple years ago. But the only difference is first party is not available day one like how Microsoft is. That's the only thing. Gears 5, if you go to Times Square, there's a huge billboard.
I work in Times Square. You see them.
You see the billboard and it says Gears 5, now on Game Pass. It's not now like on stores. No, they don't mention stores, retail. No, it's just the streaming service. Yeah. So yeah, I think that's gonna be the future, man.
I mean, but you don't see like PS5 or even Nintendo Switch having a similar service?
No, they are doing it. They're just gonna make the changes for more streaming and maybe download too for PlayStation 5. Nintendo, I'll tell you right now, if they do that, I'll sign up because they have a crazy library, you know. So
Nintendo and Sony did that. I would sign up for both, but allow me to download the games. I don't like streaming right now.
No, I think that we're going to see streaming and downloadable stuff. With Nintendo, I think the only way they would do that if this thing becomes very successful for Microsoft and Sony. I think they are going to do it. Right now, yeah, you can say that. Right now, they're not doing that right now because Nintendo's in their own lane, like their own world. They're doing their thing. Nintendo Switch is selling like crazy, and they're not promoting 4K or anything like that. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, they're doing their own thing right now. But maybe in the future will happen. I
hope so. Like I said, I would bite on both of them if they did that. You know, but Danny, that's it. We're gonna wrap it up. You've been super awesome. 56 minutes. You know what I mean? Oh, thank you. You know, keep doing your thing. I hope, and I'm sure that you will. You seem like a very motivated young man to go ahead and make things happen. You know what I mean? So I wish you all the success. I'm going to continue listening. And, actually, I was thinking about this yesterday. Why don't you guys encourage Kiaun to get his own podcast? He has this fantastic voice.
No, he has his own podcast. I forgot the name of it. I can't remember the name of the show, but actually, let me see if I find it. You can edit this, right?
No, yeah? I don't mind. I'm going to include this on there.
Yeah.
Kiaun has a fantastic voice. He's so great. Anytime he leaves a fan,
really good.
Is it a gaming show?
It is a gaming show. Oh man, what's the name of it?
Let's promote Kiaun here because Kiaun's a great dude.
No, this is not it. Where it?
He's a super cool dude.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I'm a huge fan of your guys. You know.
I was gonna surprise him. The analog circle.
Okay, the analog circle. This is Kiaun. Kiaun is a big fan of Gamertagradio, and he leaves the best voicemails. You know, his voice is fantastic. That's why I was like, this guy needs to get his own podcast.
He leaves voicemails like twice, even 3 times a week. So I just have to pick like the best one for the show, yeah. Because sometimes he asks questions, I'm like, we already answered that. We're not going to talk about it. But sometimes like, yo, this is a good question. Let me just put it, yeah. So, yeah, the analog circle. I think I shouted out a couple times on the show. I can't remember exactly.
I'll link to it. I'll link to your show, and I'll link to his show. Because, like I said, he's one of your cast of characters. Yeah. You have your cast of characters. You have Nano. You have Paris. You have Mandy. And he's one of them. Yeah, of course, because you hear him all the time, you know? You do. But, Danny, you're awesome. And like I said, you don't know me from Adam, but you actually gave me time today. So I really appreciate that. You know what I mean? And like I said, like a podcasting hero to me. You know what I mean? And I've also even like downloaded the episode where you leave advice for me, like from the questions that I asked you. And, you know, I'm going to use those to help me. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Yeah, you know what you should do? When you have this episode up, hit up Dave Jackson. We're like, hey, Dave, I found out about Danny because of you.
Because of my podcast.
Yeah. Podcast store. Oh, yeah, do that. And just tell him, like, how was the vibe and talk about it. Cause I think that would be cool because you never know. Maybe someone will find your show also by listening to his podcast. You never know.
I found you.
Yeah. You never know. So
I'm going to try to get Dave on here. I'm going to try to get Dave on here. But, Danny, you're awesome. We're shaking hands. You can't see this. You know what I mean? But thank you so much, and we are out. Boom.